International trade is a war zone, and in a surprise move, France just retaliated against US tariffs. We analyze France's audacious response, its effects on international trade, and its implications for automakers globally, taking into account 7 important variables. Hold on tight. This trade war is unlike any other. Factor number 7. France responds quickly and decisively to US tariffs. In an effort to safeguard American manufacturers, President Trump approved a high 25% tariff on imports of steel and aluminum at the beginning of 2025. But the swift and resolute reaction from France was probably not what Washington had expected. Without further ado, French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot declared that France and the European Union as a whole would not tolerate their industries being subjected to economic pressure from the other side of the Atlantic. The automotive industry, which primarily uses steel and aluminium for production at higher material costs, will be significantly impacted by this move. Automobile manufacturers are currently facing higher costs, which may result in more expensive cars for buyers and narrower profit margins for producers. France's countermeasures send a strong message that it will not stand by and watch as its industries are undermined. Factor number 6. A strategic change, deepening connections with China. As tensions in US trade relations increase, China is the most prominent of the new economic partnerships that France is forming. The story is revealed by the numbers. Trade between France and China exploded to $78.9 billion in 2023 alone, an incredible 800-fold increase over the course of 60 years of diplomatic relations. Macron's April 2023 trip to Beijing was more than a formality. 18 significant cooperation agreements covering everything from agriculture to aviation, and most importantly, automotive technology, were the outcome. The French automotive industry may benefit greatly from this change in direction, which could lead to more market access, technology sharing, and joint venture opportunities. French automakers may benefit from China's enormous consumer base and EV battery production dominance, offsetting any potential losses brought on by US trade restrictions. This is the lesson. Diversification is essential for survival, not just a tactic. Factor number 5. The auto supply chain in Europe is affected by ripple effects. Tariffs on steel and aluminum affect more than just the bottom line. They interfere with Europe's automotive supply chain, which is a well-oiled machine. Previously free-flowing, materials between manufacturers and suppliers are now burdened with increased costs and trade uncertainties. Guillaume Faury, the CEO of Airbus, even hinted that if tariffs make transatlantic trade too expensive for the automotive industry, the aerospace behemoth may begin giving preference to non-US clients. As a result, automakers may need to reconsider their entire supply chain strategy, looking for new suppliers, moving their manufacturing, or raising prices for customers. Not to be overlooked is the wild card. Demand may decline if tariffs raise car prices, which would put manufacturers in an even more difficult situation. Prior to going further, please hit the like and subscribe buttons for us. This enables us to connect with more car enthusiasts like you. Let's change gears now and move on to our next destination. Factor number 4. Is a trade war on the horizon? The European Union rally? In this battle, France is not alone. The European Union as a whole is having second thoughts. Macron has taken the lead in advocating for a coordinated EU response to unfair trade practices. Furthermore, the EU doesn't back down easily when it unites, as history demonstrates. This battle is personal to the European auto industry. A protracted trade war could upset supply chains, raise production costs, and reduce global competitiveness because the EU is a major exporter of automobiles. In addition to maintaining diplomatic ties, Brussels is preparing to impose its own retaliatory tariffs, just in case something unexpected happens. Factor number 3. Changing directions. France expands trade alliances because US trade policies are unpredictable. Rather than heavily depending on US trade, France and the European Union as a whole are working faster to diversify their economic partnerships. With China now its biggest trading partner on the continent, France has increased its economic presence in Asia. This change is more than just a matter of survival for the auto industry. It's about growing partnerships to take advantage of new opportunities. Automakers can lower risk from US trade volatility, access emerging markets, and collaborate on cutting-edge technologies. European manufacturers could strengthen their stability and become less susceptible to geopolitical upheavals if this strategy proves effective. The second factor is the long-term effects on US-EU relations. Their long-standing partnership is being strained by the ongoing trade dispute between the US and the EU. The EU's retaliation to US tariffs has disrupted industries and damaged confidence in trade negotiations. This economic impasse makes diplomacy more difficult and jeopardizes future collaboration on important international issues. One of the hardest-hit industries, the automobile sector, will suffer greatly as a result. Every year, hundreds of thousands of cars are exported to the United States by European automakers, but their access to the market may be limited by a proposed 25% tariff. Manufacturers may therefore decide to refocus their investments outside of the automobile industry to more stable markets like China. Long-term trade disputes may force the EU to fortify its bonds with other trading partners, which could reduce American clout in international marketplaces. Compromise is necessary to avoid more economic repercussions because both economies run the risk of long-term instability in the absence of a diplomatic solution. The first factor is the automotive industry's involvement in trade talks. With millions of jobs at risk, the automotive sector is at the heart of trade disputes between the US and the EU. Automakers have been forced to change their business models or absorb higher costs in order to stay competitive as a result of President Trump's tariffs on European auto imports. The US market is essential to major European manufacturers like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Volkswagen. However, a 25% tariff might make their cars much more costly, which would reduce sales. The crisis would worsen if the EU imposed retaliatory tariffs on American-made automobiles, which would also affect American automakers like Ford and General Motors. Industry executives are putting pressure on legislators to find a solution that stops additional economic repercussions in response. One important industry in transatlantic trade is the automobile industry. The outcomes of these talks could change the global auto industry for years to come, in addition to having an effect on jobs and prices. Conclusion: global trade faces a high-stakes journey. As the European Union turns its attention to new economic alliances, France's audacious counterattack against US tariffs has opened a new chapter in the dynamics of global trade. If tariffs are maintained, automakers will have to deal with the fallout. Europe might shift its focus even more towards China and other international markets, changing alliances and the automotive sector's environment. Manufacturers must simultaneously maintain consumer trust in the face of rising prices, innovate to reduce costs, and modify supply chains. However, the key question still stands. Can the US and EU come to a trade agreement before things get worse? Or are we seeing the beginning of a significant industry change that will reshape international auto trade for many years to come? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Tell us what you think. Additionally, click the subscribe. I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you again soon.